All right, so we're gonna go ahead and talk about planks as far as how to properly execute them and make them harder or easier. And believe it or not, planks, surprisingly, they're actually a little more complex than it may seem. They do seem relatively simple, and for the most part they are, but there's a few things that you wanna really be mindful of to actually make sure that you're doing it right and getting the most out of it, because most people aren't. So with planks, what happens is usually we'll just set up in like a static position, right? Where we're just kind of holding ourselves up right in here, okay? Without anything really going on in the rest of our body, okay? And that's where we usually get it wrong. We usually just kind of hold ourselves up. But where we actually get this wrong with holding ourselves up is we don't have any tension within the rest of our body. And what do I mean by that? So when you're holding that plank, you want to create as much tension and stability within your body as possible. So the two big things that are really going to amount for all of that tension are going to be your glutes and your stomach, okay? So we want to create tension in those positions. So when it comes to our stomach, the best way I like to think about this as far as creating tension is think about as if someone was like about to punch you in the stomach. That natural instinct of you tightening up your stomach, or if you know how to like even flex your stomach, if you have abs and you can flex your abs, it's that same movement. So if you're trying to flex your abs, or if you're going to try to tighten your stomach if somebody's about to punch you, you want to create that stiffness and that tension within your stomach, and that needs to be happening the entire time you're performing your plank. As far as your glutes, this is a little bit easier to kind of understand. You just want to squeeze and clench your butt cheeks as hard as you possibly can within that whole duration of that plank, okay? So if you're actively doing that, you're gonna notice right away that everything's gonna be turning on and you're probably gonna be shaking, okay? And this is normal. More than likely, you probably won't be able to hold it as long as you typically could in like a regular plank, okay? So I'm here, and if you know, look what happens to my body when I create tension. It just tightens up, okay? So I'm here, and I'm gonna tighten everything. Stomach, butt, boom. And I'm here, I'm gonna hold this. Like I said, it's pretty common to start shaking, and that's okay. Like I said, you want to create as much tension as you can, okay? The nice thing about this is it's pretty unnecessary if you can hold it for longer than 30, 40, 45 seconds. If you can hold it for about that position relatively well with good form, that's good enough where we can even progress the exercise. And I'll show you how to do that right now. Before we progress though, as far as some regressions, so if you're having a hard time holding that position for a long period of time and your hips start sagging, okay, or your hips start sticking up, that may just be too difficult of a position right there. The easiest progression that you can do that's relatively simple is just getting into a modified plank or like a top of a push-up. So I'm going to get into the top of a push-up and I'm going to create tension here, so I'm going to squeeze my butt and I'm going to get my stomach tight from here and I'm going to hold this for 30 to 45 seconds. If we can consistently do this for a longer period of time, eventually we'll be able to progress into that regular plank. And if we can hold that plank for 30 to 45 seconds, we can progress, okay? So there's two quick progressions that we can actually do within this plank to make it a lot more difficult. The first, without requiring any equipment, is just eliminating 1 or 2 points of contact within your body, okay? So if I'm in a plank, my feet and my elbows are positioned on the ground, okay? So if I want to make this harder right away is I would eliminate one of these points of contact, okay? So in this case, I could get one of my hands out of the way. So I would extend one arm, and now all of a sudden I have 3 points of contact, and this makes it a lot more difficult, okay? You can do the other arm, or you can even do a foot. As long as you're keeping that stable torso and nothing moves around as far as the rest of your body, you're in a good position. Okay, that's one way you can make it harder. The other way is adding a dynamic component to it, meaning you're actually moving through space, so moving through that plank. If you have sliders or even like little towels and you have like a wood surface, that'll do as well. You would put these sliders on your feet, okay? You would set up in your plank with the sliders on your feet. You would get everything tight, and you would push through your forearms and you'd move your torso backwards, maintaining a straight position, so nothing should change. I'm moving backwards, and I'm coming back to that starting position. moving backwards without moving your torso at all, coming back to that starting position. And like I said, that dynamic component just makes it a lot harder to do. So instead of just having to progress by holding a plank for 2, 3, 4 minutes, that's pretty pointless. So we can progress it in these other ways to make it harder. So hopefully that helps the next time you do your planks.